A friend of mine sent me this article from USA Today, and I wanted to just kind of go through it, just review it with you guys. The title is, "What Do I Love Most About Jehovah's Witnesses? They're a good people from a good tree." You know this is going to be an interesting article. I have not read this article yet. So let's go through it and critique it. See what it has to say. The New Testament tells us we can know people by their fruit. It's particularly relevant for Jehovah's Witnesses, the foot soldiers of Christianity. The foot soldiers of Christianity. This is a picture. It says, a Jehovah's Witnesses enthusiast watches a guest speaker during the 2019 Convention of Jehovah's Witnesses at Chase Field in Phoenix on August 9th, 2019. I've long had a special place in my heart for the Jehovah's Witnesses who last week have descended 40,000 strong on our Phoenix downtown for their Love Never Fails International Convention. If you work in the downtown as I do, you see their families going to and from Chase Field and the Phoenix Convention Center. On August 8th, I saw two Latino families leaving Chase in peasant dresses and vaquero hats and boots. The men and boys wore white shirts with colorful bandanas tied loosely around their necks. The women had paper flowers in their hair. They exuded a quality that is, I think, the hallmark of the Jehovah's Witnesses. They were the picture of wholesomeness. We used to call them the J-Dubs when I was a 19-year-old Mormon missionary toiling for converts in the cities of Cincinnati and Louisville. We didn't call them that out of disrespect, but out of familiarity. Yeah, there is a level of familiarity or kinship, maybe, between Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons. I remember thinking that they were very, very wrong, and I would never hang out with one outside of work or something. But they understood what I went through in many ways, because they knock on doors too. I knock on doors, or knocked, at least. That was my train of thought at the time. And now I feel even more kinship with ex-Mormons, for example. Or even just regular Mormons. I feel a kinship with them. Because they did go through what I went through. We're the same in many ways. We both went through the same types of behavior modification together. And for that reason, I have a lot of respect for Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses both, especially ex-Mormons and ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, because we are kin in many ways. So anyways, I do understand that kinship that this person is feeling. Next it says, they were knocking on doors. We were knocking on doors, and we were always running into each other. That experience left me with a deep respect for who they are, because I've done the labor they do routinely throughout their lives, and it's pure trench work. Yep, that's very true. I can agree with that so far. Foot soldiers of modern Christianity. The Jehovah's Witnesses are the foot soldiers of modern Christianity. Nobody works harder than they do to spread their faith. Mormon men and women go on missions when they're young adults or elderly couples, but they don't sustain that lifelong commitment of spreading a Christian gospel in the most stress-inducing way, knocking on doors. That's true. I can agree with this article so far. As a young LDS missionary, there was nothing I hated more than tracting, an old expression derived from handing out religious tracts. Tracting means going house to house and, with the best intentions, intruding on people's privacy with a message about God and salvation. One never knows what lurks behind those doors. In rural Kentucky, it was an angry man with a shotgun who told us we were trespassing. His gun barrel was quite the exclamation point. He didn't have to tell us twice. Yeah, that's happened to people I know. I've heard plenty of stories of people having guns shoved in their faces and stuff, which is wrong, FYI. Just in case anybody was wondering, that's wrong. Don't do that shit. Another time, a fundamentalist Christian entered the door and immediately began speaking loudly in tongues. I'd never seen anything like it, and I thought I was watching The Exorcist. I've never had anybody open the door and immediately start speaking in tongues, but I have had similar experiences with people who do speak in tongues and try to argue with me that it's the right thing to do and that snake handling is biblical and drinking poison is biblical and all this other crazy stuff. He was apostolic is what he called himself. I think it's kind of a branch of Pentecostal, an extreme branch, as though Pentecostal wasn't extreme enough. Then the article goes on to say, me, I hated going door to door. I think most people hate it, honestly, like most Jehovah's Witnesses, most Mormons, but they try to find joy in it. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like they at least put on this plastic smile and say, I'm doing Jehovah's work. I'm doing it for Jehovah, and I'm going to enjoy it. And they find ways to enjoy it, quote unquote, or to, at least to convince themselves that they enjoy it. Then there was the day 2 young Mormon missionaries went out tracting after a small town barber had butchered their hair. We looked like Dumb and Dumber in white shirts and nameplates. Oh, that's funny and sad. I'm sorry, guys. We wanted to hide but couldn't. We had doors to knock on, and one was answered by a little old lady with a they misspelled gentle, with a gentle southern accent. Smiling warmly, she said through her screen door, "My, it's wonderful to have 2 handsome young men on my doorstep today." Some people are really nice. Like, some people will invite you in and give you tea and just listen and be super nice. And other people are dickheads. Needless dickheads. Do you think I enjoyed doing that? I mean, do you think I enjoyed being in this stuffy suit in the middle of summer, long-sleeved suit with a jacket and a tie on, in 90, 100-degree weather, driving from street to street, knocking from door to door, facing this awkwardness? I was not a social person. Most Jehovah's Witnesses are not social people, really. There are some in the congregation who are, but a lot of people are just like, they're not used to interacting with people from the outside, really. This is largely the only interaction they get outside of like school and work, because they don't hang out with people who aren't Jehovah's Witnesses. Do you think that they're honestly really enjoying that? Of course they're not. It's awful. It's terrible. You have to learn how to improvise. You have to learn how to come up with answers on the spot, and you have to study the magazines to know what you're pitching. You're a salesman. You're a door-to-door salesman, and you're doing it for free. It's awful, and it's not helpful when somebody comes up to you and harasses you, or when you open the door and they start screaming at you or shoving a gun in your face. That shit is not fun at all. It's traumatizing. So be nice to Jehovah's Witnesses when they come to your door, because they like it even less than you do, probably. Anyway, moving on with the article. For a moment, we forgot we looked like dorks. We asked her if she'd like to hear a message about the gospel. She said, "I'm sorry, I can't. I'm going in this morning to have surgery on both my eyes." Our bubble was burst, and that was tracting. I hated it. Yeah, it sucks. Jehovah's Witnesses do it all their lives. It all ended after 2 years in the mission field, but it never ends for Jehovah's Witnesses. They do it all their lives, and I respect them so much for it that I have made a point of treating them with kindness when they knock on my door. I always take time to talk to them and to take a watchtower or two. Just a quick side note, I would suggest you don't take the watchtowers. This person is right. You should be nice to them. You should treat them with kindness and respect, because they like that situation even less than you do. But don't take the watchtowers. Tell them you're not interested in their stuff, but you hope they have a good day and things like that. And tell them to put you on a do not call list, because they have a list specifically designed for preventing them from basically harassing people in the neighborhood. Like, if you don't want to be visited, they'll put you on a list, and they'll come to your house like once every 10 years to make sure that you live there. So just ask them to do that, and be as nice as you can, because they don't deserve all of the hate that they get. It's not them who's mishandling child abuse. It's not the people on the ground knocking on doors who are doing all of this terrible stuff. It's the governing body who is passing the rules down and who has thoroughly brainwashed people. I blame the governing body, not the individual people on the bottom of the rung. They're just drones who've been convinced they're doing the right thing. Now, they're doing terrible things in the name of the governing body, shunning family members and things like that. That's bad. But they think they're doing the right thing. So I'm hard-pressed to blame the individual Jehovah's Witness for all of the terrible shit that the Watchtower Society is doing. I'd rather direct the blame upwards. In the Mormon Church, and I'm sure we're not alone, we embrace a scripture that is to us a sort of test. Matthew 7:20, "By their fruits ye shall know them." According to the New Testament, a good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Meaning that you can know a people or a faith by the way they conduct themselves, the way they raise their families, and participate in work and community. There's an understated graciousness. In Arizona journalism, I've known two men who were devout Jehovah's Witnesses. One was a staff illustrator for the Arizona Republic named Tony Bustos. I hope she got the permission to use this person's full name. We worked closely together for many years, launching the first Viewpoint section at the Republic about 20 years ago. We became close friends. Over the years, we talked a lot about faith in God, and Tony frequently described to me how his faith had shaped him. It was an exquisite sculptor. Tony was a man of great personal gifts, a talented artist, but a truly exceptional human being. His style was understated graciousness, a friend to anyone at the newspaper who ever needed one. A product of Phoenix North High School, his illustrative style would be instantly recognizable to many of our older readers. I remember once he drew a picture of Arizona Diamondbacks star Luis Gonzalez and his children, and Gonzo's wife went crazy over that picture. She loved it. Tony was overjoyed to give her the original. The second journalist was a former writer and editor for the Scottsdale Progress, East Valley Tribune, and the Arizona Republic. Interesting. Okay, so this is the very end of the article. It says, this is about them when you get a knock. Gary Nelson is one of those people you need in every workplace and every community who's firmly grounded in high character and common sense. Men like these are the pillars and posts that hold society together. I don't know about that. Retired now, Gary is an exceptional writer and thinker. He excelled at long meditations on the history of his country and the world. All of his writing was deeply researched and elegantly written. Like Tony, he was understated in his goodness, and despite his understatement, he was one of our best storytellers. Tony once told me Gary was a big draw for speaking engagements in the Jehovah's Witness community. They, too, saw his virtues. Goodness and integrity have a power that envelops those who have it. In Tony Bustos and Gary Nelson, those qualities told you that whatever produced them could only come from something good. A good tree. Think about that next time the Jehovah's Witnesses knock on your door. No, Jehovah's Witnesses have a very specific idea of what goodness is. And they get it right sometimes, they get it wrong other times. A broken clock is right twice a day, they say. Just because you see some good qualities coming from a religion does not mean that religion is correct or should be afforded respect. The people should be afforded respect. All people should be afforded respect. But the religion, the ideas it's presenting, the organization that runs it and pushes those ideas, does it deserve respect? That's really the question here. No. I respect Mormons for a lot of things. I don't respect Mormonism. It's trash. It's bullshit, all of it, beginning to end. But if you don't pull anything else from this whole clip, just realize that I do respect the people so deeply, and I feel for them, and I feel a kinship for them. I don't respect their ideas. Not even a little bit. And just because you see Jehovah's Witnesses seemingly being extra honest or extra hardworking or something, doesn't mean that behind the scenes some really terrible shit isn't happening, because it is. So next time a Jehovah's Witness knocks on your door, think about the fact that these people are working themselves into the ground, and show them the respect that any person deserves. But don't take their magazines, because that's just going to encourage them. So I saw this article on here, what do I love most about Jehovah's Witnesses? There are good people from a good tree, right? And it's a puff piece about Jehovah's Witnesses, basically what it is. And right after I saw that article, I saw this article. Gatehouse Media owner to acquire USA Today. So USA Today has been purchased. It says Gatehouse Media's owner and Gannett, I guess, have agreed to merge in a deal aimed at cutting overlapping costs and enabling the combined company to pursue a digital transformation as the media industry grapples with the disruptive forces of online news, social media, and smartphones. I love it how they worded that. As the media industry grapples with the disruptive forces of online news, social media, and smartphones. They're disruptive forces. I think that's hilarious. The mainstream old print media calls the internet disruptive. Go fuck yourself. It just kills me. It's like they have no, they're not keeping up with the times and they're upset by that. I'm sorry. Get it together. Like, if you don't like what the internet is doing to your business, then try working with the internet to improve your business. That's what everybody else is doing. If you're failing and you don't like it, then it's your fault. It says, New Media Investment Group said Monday that it reached a deal to acquire Gannett, which owns USA Today and more than 100 other daily publications and digital marketing services such as Reach Local. So the point is that USA Today was purchased by a company, Gatehouse Media, and the very next thing that comes out is, what do I love most about Jehovah's Witnesses? There are good people from a good tree. I don't know. I don't think that Jehovah's Witnesses had anything to do with it necessarily. I just think that this is like a very, very different direction from USA Today. I mean, every newspaper from here to Texas, I mean, all over the world is talking about Jehovah's Witnesses, child abuse scandals, and all kinds of other stuff. Newsworthy stories. Jehovah's Witnesses are getting the worst press right now. And we have little old USA Today over here trying to survive in a new world, writing all this stuff about how great they are. I don't even know. I don't know. It just blows my mind.